Adam Taxin talking with Daniel Greenfield about his column for Sunday, July 15th, 2012, which can be found at sultankanish.blogspot.com. It's called The Olympic Spirit, and the Islamic Spirit obviously having to do with the London Olympics coming up later this summer. Daniel, welcome, and first of all, tell us how the London Summer Olympics are a sign of the times.
Well, they have more security than any previous Olympic Games have had before, and that's pretty impressive because right now we've got surface-to-air missiles, we've got thousands of British troops out of Afghanistan being deployed in London to provide security.
And it seems almost fitting that London should be the place for the 2012 Olympics, even though you don't mention it in the column, because it's, at the forefront of a rapidly Islamizing Europe. Wouldn't you say that it's sort of like a fitting place, almost like Munich in 1936?
Yeah, it's a major center of that, and Melanie Phillips has called it Londonistan, and there's definitely something to that. It still takes second or third place to Paris, but it is a major Islamic center right now in Europe.
Tell us what the real Islamic view of the Olympics and the Olympic spirit is. You mentioned a few countries in your column.
The idea of the Olympic spirit is cooperation, it's good sportsmanship, and those are qualities that are completely alien to Islam. There's no sportsmanship in Islam. Something is either worth doing or it's not. It's either worth winning or it's not. And if it's worth winning, then the rules don't matter. You can do anything you want to get there. And once you do, everything is excused because it's in the name of Islam. There's no idea that you cooperate, you don't cooperate. You cut the other person's throat if that person isn't a Muslim or if he isn't the exact same brand of Muslim as you are.
It's almost like the Olympics are some sort of joke. Like everyone knows in the back of their mind there isn't some sort of worldwide cooperative spirit. Everyone's scared as hell of Islam. I mean, wouldn't you say that's a fair assessment? It's just sugarcoating the situation almost. I mean, I'm sure it'll be in the back of a lot of people's minds.
It is, and right now it's in the front of the minds because the security situation is melting down, and really, these days every Olympics is now preceded by the usual terror lords. You've had them even in China, where you had multiple apparently terror plots. Russia's already dealing with terrorist plots ahead of time. London has terrorist plots off the charts right now. This is now part of life. If you have an Olympics, you also have Muslim terrorist alerts.
And the Muslims must be laughing. It's as if they control the agenda. They control the world, making a mockery of the Olympics.
They do. The whole idea of good spirits, the Olympic spirit, is a joke, obviously, because what's the spirit here? You've got tens of thousands of security. You've got anti-aircraft missiles, and you've got the entire country, really the entire continent, and major parts of the world that's terrified of a Muslim terrorist attack. The whole idea of making Islam supreme over the infidels, this is something that they're realizing here.
Tell us a little bit about the concept of athletics being a substitute for war, and alternatively war being a substitute for athletics, especially in countries like Afghanistan, Mali, and even Egypt now.
Well, it was one of the nicer ideas, if you can call it nice, that instead of having wars, you have athletic competitions, really. In Europe, the frequency and violence of the soccer riot type thing has accompanied the shift to a non-warlike posture for Europe. Now in Islam, there aren't supposed to be any substitutes for violence as far as the Islamists are concerned. Violence to them is a sacred thing. It's not something that you want to put away, that you want to create a mock substitute for. And there isn't supposed to be any chess, there isn't supposed to be any athletics. There's just supposed to be the endless jihad.
And that's the spirit. It's a totally empty spirit, is what you said in the column.
Yeah. There's a death of the soul. If you're constantly at war, if you exist only to enforce your will on others, there's a spiritual death to that, and Islam is death. It's emptiness. There's no human qualities that are supposed to be inside there. The perfect Muslim is just a vessel for the jihad. One
line in your third paragraph really sticks with me. Muslim terrorists showed the world what they thought of the Olympic spirit in the Summer Olympics of 1972, and ever since then, the shadow of Muslim terror has darkened the flames of the torches. And it's good to remember the Israeli athletes who were murdered by Muslims in 1972.
And the lesson has been absorbed, and it hasn't been. It's been absorbed, the unspoken security, but at the same time, there's no public acknowledgement of this lesson of what it means.
Right. Any final thoughts on the Olympic spirit and the Islamic spirit?
Well, like most world unity events, this is an illusion. It's an illusion. It's a very thin reed built over the abyss, and the abyss is Islam, and Islam is growing in power and influence.
All right, Daniel Greenfield, the column is The Olympic Spirit and the Islamic Spirit. Like all columns, it can be found at sultankanish.blogspot.com. Thank you for your time.